CMI is your full-service human resources provider in Central Kentucky. For 15 years, CMI Human Resources has taken great pride in helping organizations and people work. Whether it's employee handbooks or help in filling a position, no job is too large or too small for CMI. Contact the professionals today at CMI Human Resources, 859-296-2800, or online at cmiconsulting.com.
Welcome to Hope is Here. My name is Greg Horn, and we are continuing our conversation with Georgetown College football player Kody Kasey. Cody was in the middle of starting as a sophomore. Actually started halfway through his freshman year at cornerback on the outstanding Georgetown College football team here in Georgetown, Kentucky. And yet sophomore year starting again, but then started having some injuries, and unfortunately midway through the year broke his leg. And when we left off yesterday, he was finished his fourth surgery, getting ready to go into a fifth. And if you missed those two programs, I really want to encourage you to go back and listen. You get to hear a lot about Cody and just his faith and what he is as a person and as a football player. And go to our website, hopeishere.today. That's hopeishere.today. And you can hear Cody's first two stories. Also had Lonnie Johnson, who played football at the University of Kentucky, on a couple weeks ago. We have Rusty George, the lead pastor of a church in California, talked about being better together. Did 3 programs with him that were tremendous. So go to our website to hear Cody's first 2 programs and all the other guests we've had over the past 2 months, simply at hopeishere.today. All right, Cody, so you've had 5 surgeries. You've got to have a 6th. At some point, are the doctors getting a little concerned that maybe something's wrong with your leg?
Yeah, so at this point, I had to go in and, the infection came back again, not once but twice. And, this time they were, my leg was pretty much cut up really bad, and, there was like barely any muscle left on my leg. And it was like, they talked to me and they were like, hey, Cody, our leg's pretty much non-functional right now. We can continue to keep having these surgeries, but there's no promise in potentially saving it. We can try our best and get the plastic surgeon in here and do all we can, maybe attach one artery to get some blood flow working, or we can go another route of mobility, amputation. And at 19 years old, man, you don't want to hear that. And it was very devastating just to hear those words come out of his mouth.
Yeah, I mean, when you broke your leg almost 2 years earlier, I mean, amputation was not even on the radar, was it?
No, that was the last thing I would ever even think about. It was weird because like the further I got down the road, I was like, man, like it was in the back of my head, but I never thought it would actually become something that was brought to my attention right in front of my face. And when that happened, I was like, wow. And it was very tough, of course, but I've been through all this stuff already. And I was just like, I gotta trust still. I still have to have faith. You see, at this point in my life, I had nothing else to lean on, Greg. I had nothing else to lean on. When I try to lean on myself, I would fall over. When I try to lean on not Christ, I was never held up. And I had to realize this. That when you lean on Christ, you trust in Him, He'll bring you through. So even with this news that I might have to get amputation, I kept the faith. And you know what faith is, Greg?
Talk to me.
Faith is a risk. You know why? Because you'll never know what it'll do for you until you try it. Risks, you never know what it's going to do until you try it, right? But faith is a good risk, Greg. It's a really good risk. And that's what I had to do, was take that risk.
All right, so I hope that you've been keeping up with what Cody said here, just to kind of recap, because this is powerful. He's 19 years old, starting college football player as a freshman at an outstanding football program like Georgetown College football. It's won national championships and just a great football program, and then breaks his leg midway through his sophomore year and then goes through 6 surgeries, and it's not getting better in 2 years, and now he's faced with having his leg amputated, yet he surrendered his life to Jesus Christ about a year and a half into it, and then and just leaned on Jesus the whole past year and a half. But I got to be brutally honest. If I'm you, there's got to be a little bit of me, okay, just keeping it real, that, well, man, I've been spending time with God and Jesus. I mean, I know this amputation's not going to happen. I mean, man, he's going to do a miracle and heal this. I mean, was that part of maybe your thought process? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be lying if I said that wasn't, Greg. I mean, we wanted to do everything we could to, save the leg. And, you don't want to get your leg amputated at all. That's like the last thing you want. Any part of your body, you would never want to think about getting something amputated. So, I was trying to do everything I could, but I knew if this was to become a reality, I had to prepare myself for it. And what I had to realize was, sometimes God won't change your situation, but what He will do is jump in that situation with you and bring you through it. Now, for those of you out there that know the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, think about it. These three guys were being forced to worship this king and bow down to him. But they said, no, we don't worship you, we worship one king. And he said, if you don't bow down to me, we're going to throw you in the fire. They're like, we're not bowing down to you. So they threw him in the fire. And there's three shadows in the fire. Then all of a sudden, another shadow appears. And you see, when they come out, they're clean. They're not burnt or anything. And that fourth shadow, people, was Jesus. That even though the situation wasn't going to be changed, that they were going to go in the fire, Jesus went into the situation with them and pulled them out. And that's what people have to realize too, is that sometimes, you can pray as long as you want to change the situation. Sometimes you're still going to have to go through it. You'll still have to go through a storm. You might have to lose some things. But when Jesus is with you, you will be sustained. You won't be destroyed. Fire destroys stuff. But when you walk through that fire with Jesus by your side, when you believe and trust in Him, He will not let that fire destroy you.
Amen. Well, it's easy to talk about faith when things are going well, but then, people say, I wish I had a testimony, Greg. Well, you have to go through tests to have a testimony, and obviously God was preparing you for what was going to happen. So tell me about how, when you finally decided, okay, let's amputate it.
Yeah, so it was crazy. I was in the hospital for 2.5 weeks. I had to stay in the hospital for 2.5 weeks at this point after my 6th surgery. I was supposed to make my decision in that time, whether I was going to do it or not. And in the meantime, they had to do a couple more surgeries just to clean it, to keep cleaning for the infection to go away. So, for 2.5 weeks, hospital, you don't like hospital, but I tell people all the time, is they think I'm crazy, but I was for 2.5 weeks, I had a good time in the hospital. And that's the craziest thing you might ever hear. But let me tell you why, Greg. When I was in the hospital, I was being comforted because I had so much support, family, friends, people I haven't seen in a while even coming to, pray on me, care for me. The best part was that my brother, who lives in Las Vegas, who I was supposed to go see, to go visit him and my nieces prior to my 3rd surgery, flew from Vegas and stayed in the hospital with me for 2.5 weeks.
Wow.
And when I tell you my brother's the goofiest person you'll ever meet, I can't even describe the words. But we were having a good old time, laughing. This man brought his Xbox. We were playing Call of Duty, zombies. They were bringing me good food. I was eating lobster in the hospital.
Wow.
That's unheard of. I didn't have to eat the hospital food all the time. But and what I'm trying to get at is, when you fully trust in the Lord, in the plans that He has for you, and He shows you that even in times of what seems to be crisis, He gives you comfort. Even in this time where I could have been so, down and just hating life, He was giving me comfort because I was just trusting in Him. I understood that even though that I'm going through this, there's a purpose for it, that there's a greater plan. There's a greater plan than my pain. I had to realize this. And but I was still focused. I was like, I was so happy the whole time, but at the same time I was focused. Like, we knew that decision had to be made. So it came about time where I had to make the decision, and I had to like regroup, and I was like, okay. I mean, I'm still kind of scared, you know. I'm comforted, but I'm confident a little bit, but I'm still scared. Like, I'm about to lose my leg potentially. And so I told everybody, get out the room. You know, I had to get back with God and just pray. I'm just like, God, you know, just help me out. Like, I'm still kind of in jambles right now. Like, I'm scared. And you know, my sister eventually came in, and she comforted me and just was hugging me. And then whenever something goes wrong in my sister's life, she has this journal, and she took this journal and took the bookmark and just sliced it down the page. And whatever page it lands on, she opens it up and reads the verse that was on there. You see, the verse read Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in the future. Let me say that one more time. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in the future. When I read that, I was like, my goodness, that the God that created us loves us so much that, you know, the plans he has for us, you know, the struggle that we're going through, you know, we got to look at it as a setup for something greater, for hope and future, not to harm us.
And sometimes, you know, his plan is not our plan. And I think I heard Cody, a pastor, say many years ago about Jeremiah 29:11. I love that you chose the verse, and obviously God chose it through your sister. But he said, you know, the Bible is God's love letter to us. And he said, wherever you see the word you in the Bible, you can put your name. And so in this case, it'd be, for I know the plans I have for Cody, declares the Lord, plans to prosper Cody and not to harm Cody, plans to give Cody a hope and a future. So if I'm hearing you correctly, you decided, especially the perfect time of that verse, all right, God, this would not have been the hope that I would have had and the future I would have had, but with my leg or without my leg, my hope and future is in you. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir. Exactly. And this is what sealed the deal right here. You see, every night, every morning when I wake up, the first thing I do is pray, and I read the verse of the day on my Bible app. So my sister had read me that verse the night before. So I went to sleep. I woke up the next morning. I prayed, opened my Bible app, and I looked at the verse of the day, Greg. And the verse that I saw was Jeremiah 29:11.
Really?
For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you, not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. And wow, I was ready to make my decision.
All right. Well, the decision's going to be that you chose to have your leg amputated. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right. And so where do they have to amputate your leg from?
My leg was amputated below the knee, so
Okay.
I'm still able to have full knee function, but you know, I was missing, of course, half my leg.
Half your leg. Yeah, that's pretty big, man. You're missing half your leg. So, wow. All right. Well, we want to hear about this. So we're going to ask Cody to stay with us one more program. We're going to talk about, you know, getting through the surgery, obviously, then life without his leg. And, man, there's a good ending to this story. So I want to make sure you stay with us. And if you, you know, if you need help, you need hope, you need prayer, or you're like, man, I'd love to talk to Cody, email me at greg@hopeishere.today. That's greg@hopeishere.today. And I will be glad to pray for you, or I can get you in touch with Cody. You know, you may want Cody to speak somewhere to your church or your group. He's a great speaker, can really bring a lot of encouragement. So I want to encourage you to, you know, just contact us at greg@hopeishere.today, or go to our Facebook page and send me a message. And you can find us on Facebook simply at Hope is Here. So tune in tomorrow as we talk about how he adjusted to life without half his leg. I'm Greg Horn. We'll see you tomorrow at 12:45 p.m. on Hope is Here.